I'm Effe Barker. We are right here in downtown Los Angeles. When you say we're not going away with these issues, what are those issues? Good evening. Welcome to the special edition of Ugnayan. I'm Effe Barker. Previously on Effe Barker Human Interest, Dr. Joel Gamo talked about the difficulties in knowing depression because many of the patients will mask their depression. In this episode, Dr. Gamo discusses the chemical imbalance that causes depression and some of the antidepressant medications that are used to treat depression, as well as his goals and advocacy, which is family first.
Now, taken into context, what would make someone die of suicide, right? So, as my of my medical background, I went to the University of the Philippines College of Medicine, and now, as I mentioned, I'm a professor at the School of Medicine at UCLA. We have training in psychiatry, and we know, even though I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm a rehab medicine doctor. We found out that when people are depressed, it's equal to suicide equals death. Now, from the medical standpoint of view, depression is due to a chemical imbalance in the brain, right? They believe that there is a lack of this chemical called neurotransmitter called serotonin, right? And because of this lack of this particular neurotransmitter, they suffer from depression. So all these drugs we give them, like antidepressants, like Prozac, it's not a cure, but it helps. It alleviates the signs and symptoms because it increases the levels of serotonin in the brain, right? You lack serotonin, we give them certain drugs that will raise the levels, but it's not a cure. So unless the patient takes medications regularly, it could go back from zero. For example, if there were a depression scale from 0 to 10, so right now I feel so sad, I feel a 5, level of 5, right? And then what happens is that if I take the medications, it brings it up to a level of 7 and 8, which is much better, right? Part of my advocacy now is actually family first, you know? A lot of people here as immigrants in the United States, a lot of Filipinos, like nurses, they have 3, 4, 5 jobs. Me, I had 4 jobs. And when I had 4 jobs, apparently I was not here. I was working Monday to Sunday. So in my desire to have a house, I forced my wife to work. So both of us were working. Nobody was really there to take care of the young, except the brother and the sister. But there was a big gap between the brother and sister and him. So for me, it's a corollary to mental health is the fact that you should be there for your children. Be the best father, be the best mother. That's number one. Second will be your jobs. Now, we just want to be able to work a lot of jobs so that we can pay our, like, I have 8 cars now. I have a house here in Anaheim. But without my son, as if there's nothing, And I regret that I should have spent more time. So you're a mother, you have your daughter, Lyra, so you have to spend time. Hug them, tell them you love them, look them straight in their eye and let them feel the hug that you have for them and make them realize that, hey, you know what, I'm always here for you. When you have problems like depression, it's hard because it's really, the signs and symptoms are very, very mild. Especially during mild depression, you can't even know that they're depressed. So my advocacy really is, number one, mental health issues.
What would you want to improve or change?
There should be at least a psychologist there that is in-house.
Ideally, for how many children per?
I do not know what is the requirement here in the United States, but can you imagine you only have one for 500 high schools? No, I don't think that can be managed, right? So that they have a person they can talk to. And my goal is to educate people that it starts at a young age. Depression can occur at a very young age, and it could be also genetic. It could be run in the family. The second one is family first. Spend time with your kids, especially weekends. Go hiking, go camping, sailing. Something that they will always remember because it's a fun component that you spend time with them. You go kayaking or hiking, nature, looking at the stars, camping, and maybe develop their self-esteem too. The EQ versus the IQ. Aside from family first, in mental health advocacy that I have is, if it's possible to know the signs and symptoms of depression, which might be difficult because if you're not a psychiatrist, you're not a trained psychiatrist. Even me, I'm a doctor of medicine. It was not easy for me because he was always masking his signs and symptoms.
Did he express at all of not wanting to come here?
No, because he was still very young. All I know, he was happy there. When he was before coming in, when he was sick, he was based on my experience there, he was happier. I would say.
What would you say to the Filipino Americans who are here or coming here or about to come?
We think of America as the land of opportunity. It's where the apple is, but you forget that the most important apple or the persons in your life are your children. I always thought that when I bring my kids to America, I would be able to send them to Harvard or all these other schools. I think part of the coping mechanism that I'm doing now is continuing his work.
How does that work? How does that help you?
I think it also helps me now to cope because when he died, half of me died, and when I continue what he used to do as a man of with a heart, he would feed the poor and the homeless. He was there for 3 years, and in fact, last October last year, they planted a tree in his honor at UC San Diego, and we were honored, and 50 of his classmates were there to witness the planting of the tree. It's called the Miguel Antonio Gamo's Urban Garden to feed the poor and the homeless here in Anaheim. We give the produce, plus of course canned goods to Saint Vincent de Paul here in the Catholic Church of Saint Justin, and
Are
then.
there other parents that has lost their loved ones doing that?
Well, right now I'm not aware of any. I know of someone that of course I will not mention the name, but there are, and we share the same grief, but.
That's how it helps.
Yeah, because we share experiences, and what did we do wrong? You know, we all migrated here. We're both doctors, and we lost our children to suicide. You know, and the sad part is that you came to the land of opportunity, but it's also the same land where my son died. My son, I was not able to get the medical records because they were trying to prevent me from looking at what incompetence they were. They were around 5 psychotherapists who saw my son from 2016, 17, 18, 19, for 4 years. So finally, when he died, I was able to get it. I found these are just a form you need to fill up, and thank God, Judge Scaletti granted. I became the estate of the probate of my son was given the administrator. I got all the records. Now, what did the records tell me? The records told me that he was actually depressed, but they didn't tell me. He almost killed himself in December 2016, and they didn't do anything. They didn't tell me. How did I know? Because it's like this. Whenever a client sees a psychotherapist, the first thing they will always ask, are you suicidal now? Do you have any thoughts of harming yourself?
Exactly.
And my son said, no, right now. And this was 2018. But in 2016, I went to the bridge. I stayed in the bridge. I wanted to jump. I changed my mind. I went home. So he did not say, I thought of going to the bridge. He actually went to the bridge. And who wrote this? The psychotherapist. So apparently he was telling them, hey, you know what? I'm not suicidal now, but in 2016 I almost killed myself, but I changed my mind.
What could you have done better? Or
Well, it was so hard because we may have to amend our privacy laws. It's so easy to say, oh, privacy laws, we can't tell the parent. But this is my son.
yeah.
When he died, what can I do now? Nothing. And I was telling myself, if someone tells you, you know what, I wanted to kill myself, it was not just even in the mind. I went to the bridge.
He could have killed
That day, he could have killed himself, but that could have been a chance for me to intervene and say, you know what, I found out that you wanted to kill yourself, let's talk. Because of the privacy law. And what was sad, when my son died on September 29, 2019, he was seen last by a psychotherapist on Thursday. So she saw my son Thursday for 1 hour. Friday, Saturday, he killed himself Sunday. Normally, in a hospital setting, you put them on a 24-hour suicide watch. Now, if they were scared about the privacy law, at least they could have done that.
No, with everything that had happened, looking back now, from what you have learned now, that when did it start, and all these prior thoughts of suicidal and stuff, what's going through your mind?
Well, what I can tell is this. Maybe if only we have awareness on mental health, and not only me and the rest of the people in the world, we take things for granted because there's that taboo and stigma.
about that.
Does it exist in the Philippines? Are there really issues of mental health? The reason why I'm asking is I wondered if it's just culturally influenced because here there are different issues that we're confronting the kids. Because when we were young, a lot of Filipino friends that I talked to, they would say like, "Oh, this is the least thing that we would think about when we were kids. We don't have depression there. We were just happy kids."
Well,
Is it
maybe
because we were just happy and simple people there? I don't know.
I think the way we were brought up, I think the games we have, no video games, we were just batulata, shatong, all those games we had, and not the games that we used to play. We had a simple life. We grew up in a very idyllic place.
So I'm gonna have to butt into that. So does that mean that you think that this could have been lessened with maybe case if you were there, or
Honestly, if the problem is a chemical imbalance in the brain, it could have happened again. It could have happened too.
still?
But maybe because I was free on weekends, maybe I could have been more of a father to him. And maybe I cannot really say he could have told me that, Dad, I need help.
Are there any programs for people that would seek help?
Unfortunately for children here, I'm not aware of any because they people think that there is no depression among children, which is probably false. There's no legislation. If you go to schools, when I tried to get the record of my son from Oxford Academy, I transferred him from Maxwell to Oxford Academy from grade 7 to 12 for gifted children in math and science. He liked it there because he was now being challenged. He was working with other Asian students who are good in math and science, and I asked them, "Do you have a psychologist here? Because I just lost my son to suicide." You know what they told me? No, I don't think they have the budget.
So you think there should be?
There should be one because
At
that
least from what age?
I would say during puberty, like maybe middle school, let's say 10, 11, 12. And I have a feeling that started as early as that. But it only manifested in second year college when he was studying at UC San Diego.
Talk to the families right now. With the
Yeah,
camera,
sure.
For them,
Yeah,
what are they looking out once they see something?
The thing about depression is the symptoms can be, and signs can be very subtle, and you might not even recognize it. So if there is a change in the behavior, like they don't go to work, they don't go to school, that's going to be one. Or their grades start to go down, right? And you talk to them, and then you can talk to the teachers too and find out what's wrong. And because that's what happened to the student I was telling you about. In my case, everything looked perfect, but I really didn't know that you were depression. So spend time with your kids, especially weekends. Go hiking, go camping, sailing. Something that they'll always remember because it's a fun component that you spend time with them. You go kayaking or what, hiking, nature, looking at the stars, camping, and maybe develop their self-esteem too. The EQ versus the IQ. The thing that we have to understand is that it's out in the open with Meghan Markle, with Simone Biles, and Naomi Osaka. People like Robin Williams, Anthony de Bourdain, and Kate Spade, they had depression. And we should not be afraid to talk about it. We should encourage our children to talk to us and be very watchful for words like, I feel lonely. I feel sad.
One of the key words.
I feel sad. But they will not even say, I feel hopeless or helpless. The word sad, lonely, is probably more or less a precursor to more major depression. Again, I just wanted to share too, if in the future we can have legislation, the bridge, the corridor, we've been talking about this, all talk, nothing is done. Maybe put a barrier there that prevent people from jumping.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
We have a guest here.
Yes, you're a guest, so we need to consider.
Is there if we have the camera here?
Yeah.
What is it something that you haven't told your son that you can tell me?
Well,
You could.
yeah, if
He's
I were,
probably listening right now.
I miss my son. I love you. If you're only here today, I would be hugging you every day, every single day. I would hug you and always tell you, I love you, I love you. I would spend more time and I really miss you. I love you so much. I wish I could spend more time with you when you were growing up, which I failed to do. So I just want to continue what we used to do to to feed the poor and the homeless, and to continue saving, even though I don't know how to sell this for mental health advocacy in your honor. And just pray for me and your mom and your brother and sister Melissa, sister Jeff, your brother, that we can have. It's been 2 years now, but we still cry because we miss you. We always have missed you, and since you died, we didn't expect you to die at a very young age. So we love you. See you till we meet again.
Thank you so much again. I have this little one also
Yeah, I
that
know.
really helps me as well. It's really very educational, very informative, and I hope that the public who are watching us right now, your story is very vital, and it really helps. And I hope that you will continue to your advocacy.
Right.
And awareness is really important because a lot of people, I think we all see this, but people are just not really aware exactly what to do. I'm glad that you had agreed to talk to us right now.
Sure.
To talk about your son and what you have gone through. I'm very proud of you, how you were able to come out of what happened. And I'm also happy now to see that you look really different. You look great.
I look better now.
Obviously, it helped whatever you were doing.
Yeah, the first year in 2020, it was also the pandemic was there.
Again, thank you very much,
Sure.
and all the best.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Okay.
Go say hello to Dr. Gamo.
Hello.
Hello, my name is Lyra.
I heard you're an actress now. You're a model.
I'm a model.
Oh my gosh.